Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Rockin the Love. He's Gil William Olmsted.
And she's Robyn Rice Olmsted. And together, we bring you Rockin the Love every week on Wednesdays, wherever you are. It could be any time, we don't know, but we're here every time, 12 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Mountain, and beyond. Good to see you all today.
It is good to see you all. It's good to be here. If you're joining us, if you are joining us from somewhere else, which I assume because none of you are sitting here with me, put where you are in the chat and say hello so that we know you're out there. And we're very excited today to talk about our title of the show is Possibilities. Oh, the places you'll go. That's right, possibilities. So I'm excited to talk about that. It's like the unknown. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. But before that, how was your week, Gil William Olmsted? For those of you who don't know, we are a married couple, which will become painfully obvious as this proceeds. But we are a married couple and we live apart. Gil is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I am in Carlsbad, California. And we'll get to see each other in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's coming up.
In the flesh. So, checking in with you. How was your week?
My week was good, exhausting, but full of all kinds of interesting pieces and parts. And started off since last we talked with a bunch of people coming over and helping me move to our new house, which you will get to come and enjoy in a couple weeks. So I had some really, really generous souls come and help, both do heavy lifting and do a lot of minutia to get the move done. It was not straightforward that anything was simple. But we moved all the food. See, I moved 3 blocks. So it was the food from one refrigerator to the other. It was the kitchen items from one kitchen to the, it was that kind of a process. But we got all the beds and all the cabinets that we needed to move and all that stuff done. And the shed moved in the backyard, and I'm just grateful for everyone that helped. It was fantastic. On Saturday, I had the opportunity to participate in a memorial service that I thought I was mostly going to just to be supportive, and I discovered I was going to be helping facilitate. So that was an interesting experience, and but it was great. People were really great, and it was nice to reconnect. So that was good. And other than that, just been stuff going on.
Yeah.
I've spent way too much time on the phone with Comcast, and that's kind of stuff.
It's
So how's your week?
the joys of moving.
Yeah. You'd think that if you unplug your stuff in one place and moved literally 3 blocks away and plugged it back in, it would work, but no, it doesn't. So
That's what you get for thinking. Yeah, moving is no joke, and I'm so grateful to everyone who helped and to you for taking this all on, and even though we weren't sure how it was going to work out, having to pay 2 rents for the month, I'm glad that we did it like this, and
yeah.
you could at least do it in your time frame.
Yeah, it hasn't been terribly stressful in terms of like I got to get it done. Friday was a push just because we just worked all day. That's all.
Right.
But I've gone to the other house virtually every day since then just to drop a few things. Drop empty boxes and pick up a couple things that were left. A couple lamps that were there and things like that. Just odds and ends.
Right.
put things in a cupboard above the fridge where no one would think to look, things like that.
Well, good, 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 good.
So,
My week was good. Um, it feels like I've just been working. Like no matter which way I turn, I'm working. I'm busy studying for this new job and trying to learn systems and procedures, and then I'm busy trying to write systems and procedures for an event we're doing in Gil's community, an ongoing event called Solid Grounds, and yeah, so it's just been nonstop um, working, and and still seeing some clients and doing things like that, and it's like I really do have to stop and breathe sometimes and just remember where I am and what I'm doing, because it's just hard. Like I'm like, okay, what am I on now? But yeah, so I'm just trying to stay focused on a little bit of balance and um, yeah, making it all work. Um, yeah, so that's all. It's a good week though. It's a good week. No complaints. I'm excited to get to you. I'm excited to all the stuff that will be done by the time I get to you, because it's a lot of every day there's something new. Like even in the meeting we just came off of, I'm like, oh, there's more to do.
oh
It's like
yeah.
people just want to give you more to do. But it's okay,
People are
somehow
so
I've said
busy.
yes. I've said
They're
yes
so
to
busy.
this mission. So I want to say hi to Shay. Hi, Shay. How are you? Um, yeah, and thank you for listening. And that's really it. That's really it. So I think we just move on to the good news, because I'm excited to get to our topic.
Good news.
Why do we do the good news, Gil? What's the point?
I don't know. Oh no, wait, I do know. The point is because we like to acknowledge that the tendency in our society is to tell us things that are negative because they get our attention and they create fear and they do all these things which throw us off track. But the good news reminds us that there's always more good happening in the world that we see, and there's always people stepping up and doing things and being supportive of one another. And so we like to talk about it a little bit every week. So I want to bring up the story of a commencement speaker at a Massachusetts university who happens to be the founder of a telecommunications company. And he did his speech, and he then let everyone know that every graduate would be receiving $1,000.
That's your, yeah, okay.
Sorry, I got it. Apologize. Couldn't see it yet. Every graduate will receive $1,000, and they were to then figure out who and how they were going to give away half of it.
Hmm.
So I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it was both a gift and a learning all at the same time. And you know, that's a chunk of change if you have a few graduates to give it to.
Well, and as a college graduate, you probably want that for your vacation you're going on, or for your paying some of your student loans, or something.
Yep.
Probably like get excited about $1,000, and then not excited that you have to give some of it away, and then excited because you wouldn't have had it anyway, and that slippery slope. So did they say
Yes.
what any of the people did?
No, I'm not sure what they did with it.
Oh wow. All right. Well, that's pretty cool though. That's a lovely lovely gift. And where was this?
In a university in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, as we all know, if we don't give from ourselves, we can't receive in the same way. And so offering that demonstration and direction, I think was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
really cool. That's very cool. All right. Well, my story is about a kid a high schooler, who wanted to ask his girlfriend to the prom. And he didn't know how, and he was trying to figure out how. And he knew that he's like, she's a massive Philadelphia Phillies fan. So he was trying to figure out like what he could do, or, if he could get somebody to ask the question from the team, she'd surely say yes, and all of that. And so he found out that some of the Phillies lived in his hometown. He's actually in New Jersey, but some of the Phillies live there. And so he went to the door of Bryce Harper, who's a Major League Baseball player, and knocked on his door. He answered the door, like, in his sweats and t-shirt. And he asked him, if he would help him out. And he told him he'd been brainstorming ideas for weeks, and asked him if he'd help him out. And the guy said, yeah, sure, I'll think about it, or whatever he said. And he took his information, and he just said, if you can help in any capacity, I'd really appreciate it. And then as he was walking away, Bryce calls him back, and he said, hey, well, what if we just go do it right now? And it was that simple. They went to the girl's house, and he asked her, if he would go to the prom with him. And I mean, the girl was like totally shocked and stunned. And, of course she said yes. But I mean, I just think it's so cool. Like, somebody who has that power or ability, or, uses their power for good, goes, yeah, sure. I'll help a brother out. And that was that simple. And so he went, and
well, and how cool that the kid stepped up too, put himself out there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's pretty cool too. But obviously Anne got the great response. I mean, it's a great story all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just sweet because,
so, it's all good.
I'm sure Andy got the girl right. And I'm sure Bryce Harper had better things to do with his time, and yet not really. You know what I mean? How cool to really be able to change a life, It's a life-changing moment. So it was great. So that's what we got.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're going to be talking about possibilities. Oh, the places you'll go. Thank you, Dr. Seuss. We're going to find out where that takes us right when we come back, right here on New Thought Media Network. Don't go away.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
And we're back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
I'm
back.
Robyn.
And I'm Gil.
Go ahead.
And we're happy to be here with you today. It is another Wednesday. What is it? It's our last Wednesday in May of 2024. All right.
How crazy is that?
And what are we talking about? Yeah.
So we're halfway through the year. That's so crazy.
Almost halfway.
Possibilities. Yeah. Oh, the places you'll go. Are you having a delay in time?
I think you are. Yeah, I don't seem to be, but you seem to be.
I think you are.
I'm delayed. We've said that often for years.
Yeah. All right. Well, one of us is, and so the other one keeps appearing to cut the other one off or waiting for something. So we'll just know that we are syncing up and that all is well as we open up this discussion to possibilities. Oh, the places you'll go. And I just want to say, I think that topic, I mean, because this was one of those months where the topics just came out of me. They just spit right out. And I think that topic was based on our month of passion and purpose and all of those things. And, you know, it just always makes me think about what's possible, that anything's possible.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what does that title mean to you?
Well, I was thinking about it, and it seems that you know, we talk about possibilities. Well, we could possibly do this, we could possibly do that. You know, that might be possible, but it's not plausible. We have all kinds of ways of talking about possibilities as if they're not quite real. They're not quite something that's ever going to happen. And I think the reality is we live in a world that has so many possibilities, and they are all truly possible. And the question is, are we going to involve ourselves with them? Are we going to take the steps to go to the new places where they exist and where they take us? So that's what I was thinking about.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that too. And I was also thinking about, you know, when you're saying, you know, it's all possible. Like what happens in our bodies, in our minds, in our head when we think about possibilities? Because there's somewhere, I mean, maybe not always, but a good deal of the time where, you know, that protective mechanism kicks in or that fear kicks in, and makes us start to doubt or start to think about all the things that could go wrong, or, you know, what ifs and things like that. You know, I'm thinking about specifically, I'm thinking about situations that come up at centers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you have
we,
groups of people doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we have groups of people, or we step into that place of, you know, okay, we're going to do this. And then people are like, I don't know, but how's it going to go? What are we going to do? Well, how much money is it going to make? Where's the money going to go? How do you know what blah, 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 blah. And it becomes like overwhelming. I mean, as someone who's usually on the idea end, it becomes overwhelming in some level, having to defend or justify or hold the vision, however you choose to say it, you know. So what, and I think that happens to us all in our personal lives too. There's that person, or whether it's a parental figure or a spouse or whatever, or a best friend or a not so best.
In your head or in person.
Yeah, exactly. In your head or in person. And yeah, Yeah, so it makes me think of that. And actually, I'm going to, just to kick it off, a la Dr. Seuss, I'm going to share this quote. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. And so, what in that when we have that, what do we choose? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and if we're in a relationship, or if we're stuck in a relationship, or if we're in a relationship that we where we love somebody but we know it's not good for us, where how do we choose? And what, you know what I mean? All of those things.
Well, I think Dr. Seuss says it beautifully. You got a brain in your head, and so you're able to think and look at things and evaluate and all that stuff. And you got feet in your shoes, and so you're able to move and shift and move direction and take take action. Whether it's actually by taking a step or it's figuratively, but you have that ability. And um, and that he reaffirms that it's really our choice what direction we go. It's really our choice, and we
Well, it
can't we
is. And
can't we can't put it on somebody else, on the voice in our head, on the the group of people that tell us, yeah, yeah, and whatever it is. Well, we have to know for ourselves and see the possibility. I think what you were talking about a minute ago, that's the idea of seeing that possibility when others don't see it. What
right,
they see is all of well, they see possibilities. They see all the possible things that can go wrong.
right,
They
right,
see all the possible negatives, all the possible ways, walking up to a baseball player's house and saying, hey, would you help me out? Asking my girlfriend. That's like, what are all the things that could go wrong with that?
right,
Where's the friend that or the parent that said, don't, no, you can't go talk. That he needs his privacy. He doesn't want to do that. He's maybe he'll be mad at you for walking on his property. I mean, all the things somebody could say, or like, oh, come on, your girlfriend's going to want to go to the prom with him. She's not going to want to go with you. You know,
right, right.
all the
Yeah,
ways it wouldn't work.
all the ways it wouldn't work. And so, like, that becomes my question. Like, where in life do we do that? Where in life do we stand in that place where that's what comes up? Because, like, I know I'm a possibility person. I will generally find the possibility. And I know my friends are always coming to me and going, well, this is horrible and this is rotten and this is like this, and what would you do? And I'm like, you know, I'd find the good in it. I'd blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I literally can. It's not like I'm just using jargon to say it's all good. It's like I just have to be grateful that, I don't know, I'm breathing to be in that situation, whatever happens, whatever comes of it. But it's like where there's still a place sometimes where, I stop myself, I believe, where we all come up against that. And is that because we want something so much? Like, because what's on the other side is so important? Is it because in that moment I'm a control freak and I want it my way? Or what is, you know what I mean? What's the,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it plays into a lot of different factors. Some are like, well, if I go forward with whatever this thing is, how am I going to look? I'm thinking right now, Robyn, of Sunday night when we had the opportunity to um, help facilitate getting a call together with Marianne Williamson, and how you know um, how all of the different, the fact that we had 3 days to do it, and kind of thing, and all of that, there were all reasons why not to put ourselves in that position,
oh, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And and in my case, fighting my own demons, dealing with it, and all the different pieces, that it it creates a space where someone can go, no way, I'm not doing it. you know um, I'm going to look bad. they're not going to like me. Other people are going to wonder why I'm asking them to even show up to this. All of those things. And yet, somewhere, we had to hold on to the possibility that we saw that this would serve people, that this would, in fact, encourage people on their path of living their life, and that it would be of value to them, just as our own participation, et cetera, with Marianne has been of value to us.
Right.
To our growth and learning and understanding of the world and finding out how we might better participate in it and all those things. It's interesting to have to see sometimes when possibilities show up, when possibility shows up, what do we do? What do we do? Do we figure out why we can't participate? Or do we figure out how to participate? I mean, I think those are the two big things. Even, that was a very short term, but think about this process with Solid Grounds, the coffee house we're creating at the center, that is come from a long history of already being done. And people came to us and said, we'd like this to happen. Are you interested in participating? And we could have gone down the road of, well, let's go through all the reasons why this isn't a good idea. And we certainly have people willing to speak those ideas. And more so as we get closer to it starting. People who haven't been involved in the process now want to talk about why it won't work.
Right.
And I find that fascinating because it's what you saw, what I saw, what Susan saw, our musical inspiration director at the church, at the center, who also is participating in this creation. What she saw was, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity. This is a possibility that's big.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do with that? Are we going to turn and walk away? Are we going to pretend it's not there? Are we going to, and so that's where the whole, the places you'll go. I think when we don't respond to those possibilities, the places we go is really nowhere. We don't go places because we kind of hang out stagnant where we are and just try to be safe.
Yeah, and I mean, and on some level, I don't think anybody's really trying to do anything wrong. They're just trying to keep everybody safe,
Right.
And then
Right.
I want to share this other quote. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on.
It's a great quote.
Scare you so much you won't want to go on. And that's kind of what it's like. I mean, it's like, do we, in any situation, it's like where there's that point too where you, for me anyway, there's that point for me where it's like, am I going to cave into this or am I going to go on? And obviously they're all different. You weigh your options, you figure out what's really best, for you. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what other people are thinking out there about this, because I think that fear is such an interesting component to possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think there's a couple of things in our society. There's a desire to, make sure that we do the prudent thing and we look at all the options or whatever, and sometimes that causes us to miss what's possible. Because we overthink it, we overevaluate it, and if we see everything that we run into as a possibility, sometimes that can throw us off too. I mean, because it is a possibility, but maybe it's not ours to do. Maybe it's not time to do it. Maybe it's, whatever. Maybe it's not ready to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because uh, so much of it, I'm processing this in my head, but so much of it um, is our personal journey, right? I mean, and I get it. There's only one of us here, and it's so interesting um, to drive the bus, to really figure out what's yours to do and what lessons you're supposed to get from where, because I don't know. I mean, half the time when people are trying to deter you, maybe that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right, and it's guidance that you're needing or looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Shay says, A Course in Miracles says we're never really afraid or upset for the reasons we think we are. It's true. It's my job to discover those subconscious fears, clears the way for infinite possibilities.
Right. Well, I will say, I mean, my interpretation may be wrong, Shay, but my interpretation of that is yes, we will say, I'm afraid of X, and really that's just the excuse. It's not really what I'm afraid of or what's causing me not to move forward. Or I will say, no, it won't work because, and that's really just my excuse, because then it allows me to not have to do whatever it's asking me to do, whatever the new possibility is calling me into. Is it calling me to change who I am, calling me to change where I live, calling me to change who I interact with? Then that's a lot. That's a lot if I'm being called to that. And I may not want to do that. So I may give you a reason like, I don't know if it'll really work out. I don't know if I can really do it. I'm afraid I won't, whatever. And that's not really the reason. The reason is I don't want to have to change. I don't, and that's not always the case. I'm just saying in some cases, I think that's really what's going on.
But I think that's a good point in that, what part it makes me want to know, what part does change play in achieving your possibilities, achieving your goals, getting to the finish line, so to speak? Because I think change is a lot of what people fear. They want something different, but they don't want this to go away because it might not be as good as this. And what if it doesn't do what that did, and all those things?
Yeah. Yeah. Where's the yeah. What is it that I might be hanging on to because it's just comfortable and I know it, versus what am I hanging on to because that's where I need to be. That's what I need to do.
Yeah. And it makes me curious. Like, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but you're the only one here. So,
No, I'm not.
Okay, you or Michael Menges. But I was trying to think of a situation, and what it makes me think of is like divorce, or breaking up with somebody. Like, when you were getting a divorce, you had to make those decisions. I mean, you could say that some were made for you if somebody left you, but they're still not made for you because you still hold on to the relationship, even if you're not in it, if that's what you're going to do. So
Mm-hmm.
many of us hold on to a relationship long past the time that it's expired, right? So like how do you make those changes when you're, when you're fearful? Um
Yeah,
and
it's like milk in your fridge, you know. I mean, has it expired a long time ago, but you still don't want to throw it out? You don't want to let it go. You don't want to create a new space in there. Uh, and that's true of a lot of things in our lives, a lot of relationships, a lot of our stuff, where we impede the flow of possibility into our life, I think, because there's just too much in it that we're hanging on to, whether it's people, places, things. They're all things we hang on to, beliefs, thoughts, and that can impede the possibilities that show up in our lives or that we even notice. Maybe
Right.
that's more accurate. The possibilities may be there, but we don't even see them.
Yeah, Shay's saying all of that is just the ego trying to keep us safe, that it's subconscious.
Yeah. But do we feel when we think we're safe, are we fulfilled? When we feel like we've done the safe thing, do we really feel fulfilled? And I
That's a
don't
good
mean in
question.
every absolute instance, but if we live our lives from that perspective of my life is very safe, it's very predictable, I know what's happening, I can control it, I know when my rent's due, I know when this is, whatever, is that fulfilling? And
Yeah,
I would go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, go.
I would just say that I would contend um, that ultimately, if we aren't living into the possibilities, the things that are possible for our lives, then we are not going to be fulfilled. That's my thought. What does our producer think? So, New Thought Media Network says guiding individuals into a greater vision is the role of leadership. The leader acknowledges the fear and then leads their group into the new vision. Okay. And sometimes it's the leadership reminding the group, how can we use our science of mind principles to make that happen? How can we use what we know to be true? Is basically what he's saying. How can we stand in the truth that we know, that we are more than the appearance, that we are fully endowed with the stuff of the creation of the universe, that we have all the abundance within us we need, we can use. I mean, can we stand in that? And I will tell you, as the leader of a group, that's not easy to ask people sometimes to stand in that, because we don't all want to stand in it at the same time.
Well, I would disagree with you a
Well, of
little.
course you will.
Well, actually, I'm still back on Shay, and it's all the egos just trying to keep us safe, because that that's a buzzword for me. That ego thing gets me every time. I don't know why I have this relationship with the ego that I always want to defend it. But wait, before I do, I think asking us to stand in that place i- isn't 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 always the hardest thing. I think that, and I don't even think it's the hardest to do it, but I think what's challenging is that it doesn't look the same for everyone. And it doesn't look, if I ask you to do that and you do what you can do, it doesn't look necessarily like my picture of, well, why then, if you're doing it, then why aren't you doing this? because in my
Mm.
playbook, it happens a different way. And so, I mean, I think that's a piece where, you've got to be, I mean, that's a bigger exploration, because if we just think we can tell someone or ask someone to do it, and then it just looks different. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, because we get attached to what we think it would look like if someone stood in that space.
Right.
And the reality of encourage people to stand in the space is inviting them to be the full expression of spirit. And in that case, they may express something that looks different than what's on the top of my mind,
Right.
because I'm not always fully in touch with all the possibilities, right? All the possible outcomes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like being driving down the road, and I can see the next exit sign, but you can't. It's like we all have a different vision of what's ahead or of how to get there.
Right.
And
Right.
who knows? I mean, maybe there is someone that can see Russia from their window, or whatever. You know
Right.
what I mean? Or, but I mean, yeah. And then the ego, I just want to say, it's like the ego's it's the ego trying to keep us safe. And yes, I agree with that. I don't disagree. It always feels like people are like making the ego the bad guy. And it's like, I think the ego knows what's familiar. I think, the ego is also involved when we get excited about the possibilities. That's the ego also when we're thinking that we can do something big or be somewhere. So I just always, I don't know why, I'm just so protective of the ego. I don't feel like it's so bad. And I know it's not, you're going to tell me it's not bad. I know, but I'm just saying.
Well, I won't talk then.
No, not you. I was talking about Shay. You talk.
Well, I was going to say, but the idea that the ego is trying to keep us safe, it's just one of those things that we have to remember, that we will have a voice in our head which truly thinks it is
No.
keeping us safe. It's best for us to be safe. And it doesn't make it bad. It just means that we have to evaluate that information from the perspective of knowing that that's its goal. Its goal is to make sure we don't step into anything that surprises us, that's unknown, that could get us hurt somehow, right?
Yes. I mean, I think that, yes, the ego, for me, the ego is a team player. I, I feel like I work in hand with the ego. I don't feel, I mean, maybe except for the times when I'm going, oh my God, they don't like me. Do they not like me? Do they hate me? Maybe that's, where
Ego's trying to keep you safe, possibly.
I think for me, yeah, it's presenting possibilities. I don't
What
know,
is?
the ego.
Mm.
This could be a viable possibility. And me, I go, and even if that's the truth, then what? I go, oh well. And that's
Yes. Okay.
me. So for me, the ego teaches me that, just, I mean, it gives me the space to dialogue and to dialogue,
Right.
come back to my God self and go, oh, well, you're more than that. So whatever they think is whatever they think, or whatever. But that wasn't our conversation. I'm sorry. The ego just, I don't know. I have a love affair with the ego. I can't. I don't know why. I just can't let it go. So So I mean, I totally agree with what Shay said. I just, I just feel like it's a bad guy, gets a bad rap.
Right. And I think that's what we were saying was if you view it as what it is, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And the question is, you know, um, when you hit the accelerator pedal in your car, it makes your car go fast. Does that mean you should hit the accelerator pedal at all times? No,
Right.
because it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. And that may not be the best thing in this situation, you know?
Yeah, and I guess for me, I mean, I think that for me, life is really like a game. I like games. I like to think. So like when I'm having those conversations with the ego, it's all about getting to the end of the game and to being happy, to being successful, to winning, you know? So yeah.
So can we win at possibilities?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't think so?
I don't
Oh
know.
my
I'm just
God.
wondering.
I think possibilities is the biggest invitation to play of all. I mean, if I sat around and just was content with whatever, then I wouldn't be living in possibility. But I mean, I live in possibility, and you know that. So
Right,
there's always something else that we could be doing.
right. And you're right. It is an invitation to play, and I think play in the sense that children play, where they really go with what's happening. They don't have an absolute outcome in mind. They don't. They are, you know, let's see what happens when we jump off this swing.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, it's not, "Oh, I'm gonna swing and I'm gonna jump off and I'm gonna land on my feet." And I mean, why do kids jump off roofs and stuff? Because
Right.
be, because it's certainly a possibility. It wasn't probably the best one in that moment, but it's a form of play. It's a form of let's try this and see what happens. And as we grow older, we learn what happens in certain situations. And sometimes we take those situations, that learning, and we apply it too broadly. We apply it all the way across our lives instead of to specific situations where it's true.
Right.
If you jump off a roof, you break your leg. If you jump into a new project, you're going to break a leg. Oh, wait a minute. That's not how that works. Right?
Kind of. Depends.
Well,
Yeah.
but we apply it as if that's what's going to happen if you do
Right.
it.
Right.
And this
Right.
project may be like jumping off the curb, not jumping off a roof.
Right. Right. And I think that's what our whole month has been about, is passions and possibility. And when you combine passion and possibility, what's possible? What's really possible, and staying connected to those passions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then moving them out into a greater sense. I'm going to give you one more quote of, "Oh, the places you'll go. There's fun to be done. There are points to be scored. There are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all." And it's true, right? I mean, on some level, it's like, how do we, sorry, how do we stay in that mentality and create that fun? And part of the way is if y'all want to join us in Mexico.
Yeah, there's a possibility that many probably haven't thought of yet.
I don't know. Shay was talking about it. She said she doesn't speak Spanish. And I think what better time to go than when you have translators and things that will assist you. But Shay was talking about it, and John's talking about it. And any of you out there that are thinking about joining us at the Convention of the Americas, we'd love to have you. We're going to have a special little packet for a couple days before that includes some very fun things, a workshop with soul collage and a writing workshop and a Cuban party with music and swimming and food and lots of things going on. So if you're interested, stay tuned and let us know. And
that's all going to remain fairly affordable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the conference itself is relatively inexpensive, and we're able to add on to it without adding huge amounts of cost.
That's right.
Yep. Okay, good.
There's not huge amounts of cost, but there's the amount of value is priceless. Oh, that's a quote, Michael Mangus. We need to wrap that. That needs to be our commercial. Priceless. Anyway, all right. So it's been great being with you. And hopefully you will continue to explore the possibilities and the places you'll go. And anything you want to say? Anything you want to say?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I think for me the big takeaway is just, when things show up in our lives, the opportunity is to go, what is this possibility? What is this opportunity? And what's in it for me? Before we go to, why is this in my way? And that's ridiculous, and whatever else we might go to.
Yep.
It doesn't mean everything that shows up we jump into, but it means we take the time to consider the possibilities.
Yep.
So, there you go.
It's true. All the places you'll go. Oh, that's not what I want. I want this one. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. And that's what we're leaving you with, everybody. Your mountain is waiting. Go and conquer it. And we will see you next week. Make sure you rock the love this week. And we'll see you then. Right?
All right, everyone. Keep rocking the love.